Hey, it's great to be with you again today. Tonight, I'm down here in my basement, and it's cluttered, man. There's a lot of stuff that we've got down here. There's crates all over. There's a Christmas tree back there, and there's bins and there's clothes hanging up over there, and there's one thing after another. And and there's a gorilla. There's a gorilla back there, right? And so we save stuff in our lives. We kind of get stuff together and we put it in bins and we save it and we stick it in closets or in our basement or in our attic, and we start to just continue to include all this stuff and pack it away, and it becomes clutter. Sooner or later, it just becomes clutter, and we don't even remember what it is that we stored away up there and or down there or in there, and it just takes up space, and it's wasted space, really. And we can do that in our lives as well with our spiritual faith, right? We can get all of this stuff in our lives that, well, it starts to take up room in our heart. It starts to settle in, and we fill our closets and our attic and our basement of our heart up, and sooner or later the stuff starts to creep up the steps and down, and then it starts to go into our bedrooms and living rooms, and our heart fills up with all this stuff that used to mean something to us, and now it's just kind of, well, it just kind of gets in the way of our faith. And when we let that happen, we start to push Jesus out. We start to say, well, hey, Jesus, I'll get to you, man. I honestly, hey, man, I meant to have devotions this morning. I meant to pray today, but boy, I got so tied up with all this other stuff that's cluttering up my life right now. I've got the job, and I've got the family, and I got to take care of the kids, and and then the meetings and the dance recitals and the sports and TV, TV. Well, I like to read a book once in a while, and then all that stuff starts to just accumulate, right? And builds up and starts to push God right out of the picture. When we let that happen, sooner or later, we're going to have this come to Jesus moment, right? Where we realize that what it is that we're doing doesn't look like what Jesus calls us to do. Are we taking the time to feed the hungry and help the widow and the orphan? Are we taking time to visit the shut-in or the prisoner? Are we taking time to talk to those who are the outcasts? Are we working with the addicted? Are we tutoring kids? Are we working with teenagers? No, we're not, right? And as we let that clutter continue, it takes over our lives, and finally, God is an afterthought. So as we go through these days, may we get rid of some of that clutter in our lives, get rid of some of that stuff that has taken precedence over God. And may we come back to Him and put Him as number one in our lives again. May God continue to pour out His grace, mercy, and blessings on each and every one of us until we get to meet again. Amen? Amen.